Greetings, schools, and welcome back to another talk about horror television. Tonight we're exploring one heck of an episode of Monsters, this one titled The Space Eaters. We meet our two main characters, two older gentlemen playing chess named Howard and Frederick. The old pals are hanging out up in New England. They planned on having a cool fishing weekend, but the weather is terrible. Frederick says he's never seen it storm this bad. It's very out of the ordinary. On top of the weather, while looking out the window, he notices that a strange darkness looms over the village. It's complete darkness. Howard tells his pal that someone is coming from the beach. He assumes this not because of something he heard, but because he senses it. Only a second later, and a man is banging at the door, yelling like a madman. They happen to recognize the man, Henry. He's screaming like he's in a ton of pain. He's incoherent, but something surely shook him up. He's yelling to shut the door. Someone was right behind him. He yells he wants his brain back. His brain is in severe pain, so Frederick doses him. The men assume he's just a drunk old fool. But when they take a look, he's got an enormous gaping hole in his temple. They're really surprised and they think it's a bullet wound. The doctor takes a look inside of the wound with the microscope, and he notices there's no tearing or bleeding. It's a very strange wound indeed. There's also enormous tissue loss. How unexpected. The doctor pulls out his nifty new X-ray machine. He takes a look. The doctor is stunned. The fisherman has no brain. His skull is completely empty, yet the man is still talking and flinging about. Puzzling. Perplexed, the doc pours himself a scotch. Frederick states the obvious. This is impossible. But Howard tells his friend a story that he's never told anyone before. A very horrifying tale of his time at war. He was in battle and he heard a scream, so naturally he looks up and he sees that the scream is coming from a man as he gets his head blown clean off. His neck and vocal cords were still attached, and the man continued screaming as he ran 100 yards, turned back, and slowly fell to the ground. Very friggin' sad story. But this was to remind us that anything is possible. Don't rule out a dang thing. The men rush back to the sailor with newfound determination and a plethora of questions. They ask him what had happened. The sailor says there was a big light by the ship. They ask him, where is everyone then? The man tells them that everyone is gone now.
Bright light, bright ship up in the sky. Then it opened up. It looked like a tunnel of fire 1,000 miles long. Then it came out. Do you know, it can walk on water. It can walk on the trees. It made the lightning.
What, Henry? Who?
The thing, of course. The eye.
The eye, guys. It's the eye. Needless to say, I got one heck of a kick out of this scene. What a fun tribute to 50s monster flicks. Something got him up in the trees and touched his head. He doesn't know much more, though. He is in unheard of pain and he lets out another anguished moan. His noggin lights up like a Christmas tree. Amused and intrigued, Frederick takes a closer look. He takes a set of tweezers and starts poking around the hole in his head, but the instrument gets ripped away from the doctor, falling into the man's skull. The sailor is dead now, but they decide to start talking to the monster directly. Creepily, it responds. They ask him where he is. He's high up in the trees, he tells them. The creature also says that he's coming. And only a moment later, there's a crash upstairs. Glass shatters. The creature is inside the house. The creepy sailor grins at the gentleman's discomfort. They head over to the stairs and they see a horrible, long, snake-like creature lurk down towards them. Like a highly educated fool that he is, Frederick leans down to get a better look, and of course, it latches onto his head and does not release from its grip until Howard points its X-ray machine at it. They leave the machine on and it's working enough to keep the creature at bay, so they have another drink. The monster is still upstairs, which they're acutely aware of. Howard is like an excited boy, ever curious and ready for a puzzle. He's in a strange way delighted in this scene, while Frederick is still very spooked. I mean, the poor guy just got his head latched onto, so I feel him. Howard knows the creature is nothing from this planet. He's the one who first notices the storm is gone, and he thinks the storm was created by the monster. He figures they're looking for human brains, and they have some greater use for them, seeing as we only know how to use approximately 10% of our brain's capacity, on average. The creatures are taking brains so they can form a mega brain or something like that. Howard brings part of the X-ray machine with them, and they go to face the monster. It's a huge friggin' eyeball. Huge. Howard points the machine at it. It starts blinking and wonking out for a bit. It then latches onto his mate and starts transmitting his brain, just like it did with the others. Howard does his best to save his friend, but the monster sends him to the ground. With his options limited, Howard takes the radioactive isotope out of the X-ray machine and he throws it up at the menacing eye. He knows this will probably kill him, but he risks it all for the planet. It hits the eye and there's like a super cool explosion effect. Howard brings his dear friend back downstairs. Both of them look horrible. But know who looks way worse? The sailor. He's nothing but ashes at this point. The boys pulled it off. What a miraculous feat. Frederick can't believe that he risked himself for our friend. Howard admits he made one fatal mistake.
I stupidly assumed that the creature came all that distance. Alone. One last game. I think you might actually win this one.
What an impactful twist ending. Really couldn't believe it. There were other eyeballs out there just waiting to transmit brains. Spooky sci-fi fun. I'll rate this one a 9 out of 10 for the series Monsters. I surely enjoyed it and I can happily recommend it to you. It's a worthwhile watch for sure, especially for those who enjoy sci-fi. But even if you're just really into horror, I think this one is still a great time. The writing is exceptional, the dialogue is witty, and the two characters were perfectly charming and approachable. I was really rooting for these two to save the friggin' planet. I believed in them, and sadly I was let down. I think the ending was perfect though. It wasn't a cheesy twist ending, but a solid one that made a great deal of sense, so bravo to the writer. The two actors were seasoned veterans when they did this show, and they both brought a great deal to this production. Very strong, talented actors to be able to pull off these wonky roles. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Each like, comment, and subscription help my channel reach a wider audience, and I'd very much appreciate the engagement. I'd like to thank my patrons for making this video possible. For just a few bucks a month, you can help me out financially over on Patreon. And that's all I have for tonight. I hope that you've enjoyed. I'll catch you all next Saturday. Stay spooky.